Hi everyone, and welcome to That's News to Me. With me today, whatever. I am completely confused about what the time is. I have Susan from Divine Disbelief. Hi, Susan.
Hello. Hi.
We have the lovely Purple Rhymes with the Orange.
Hello.
And we have the ever fabulous Aunt Jo.
Hello.
And I see in the chat we have Jay from Nevermore Tavern, and Godless Granny, and Never Again. Hi everyone. Hopefully we get a few more people there, but I realise that this time slot is absolutely dreadful for people because, I mean, there's so many shows on at this time slot, isn't there? We've got Neil.
Friday and Saturday evenings in the US.
Yeah, it's Saturday evening. That's the problem, but that's okay. Next week, this show won't be on at this time zone. Jay from Nevermore Tavern is actually coming back and actually starting to run his own show, so I will be shifting my show to a different time zone. I'll probably aim for some time actually during the week for the evening US evening slot, and as well as having a midweek one that fits for the Aussie evening slot as well. Even though I seem to not have enough time to do all of those at the moment. Now, we've got God of the Imagination also, and Ricardo in the chat. So how's everyone been this week?
Yeah, doing all right.
Doing all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This week has been a hell of a month.
This week's been a hell of a month. It has, hasn't it? I mean, especially for you guys in the US, death of a High Court Justice in Ruth Bader Gingrich, is it Gingrich? Yeah. Ginsburg, yeah. See, Australian, so I actually don't know. I mean, I know who she is, but as far as pronouncing the name, I don't know.
Well, and the Republican hypocrisy that when Obama was in office 9 months before the election was too soon to confirm a judge, but now a matter of weeks before the election, it's okay for Trump to do it.
Yes. I know we normally do weird news, but I think this actually counts as weird news. The fact that that they want that they're showing their hypocrisy. The fact that who's the Speaker of the House? Who said before the last election that it is a requirement and the Republicans will always back that it is incumbent on the next elected president to appoint a judge if somebody dies during an election year. And now he's totally gone back on what he said.
Yeah, it's like Republicans don't realize we have recordings of these things from 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's like they live in the 1800s, isn't it?
It's I know. Let's see. I know Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
Yes, that's who I was thinking.
Is doing
yes.
that. Lindsey Graham did it too. It's just like Lindsey Graham. Stop it, Lindsey Graham. Just stop.
Yeah, it's like they're, yes, it's not a rule, but there's a precedence that if that happens, that you save it till after the election. Because by doing it now, you are making that appointment political. I know all the appointments are political, but you are obviously making it political.
Well, and until Obama was in office, it was never an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't give a shit about anything of that nature until Obama went into office.
Yeah.
So.
And Trump only gives a shit because he wants to be able to use the High Court to try and keep himself in power, regardless of the outcome of the election.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep.
I will say some stuff that you guys probably can't. I don't think Trump's going to leave the Oval Office unless there is an overwhelming vote against him.
Oh, he's already said that.
Yeah.
He said he's not sure he can commit to like a peaceful
transition,
transfer of power.
Yeah. And that does not bode well for America as a whole. I mean, you are talking Civil War territory coming out of that. That kind of statement is what leads to civil wars. And that is the last thing you want.
Yeah. It's terrifying. We actually did a video talking about Red Mirage, which is a lot of that stuff, but it has to do a lot with the mail-in voting, and usually it's Republicans that vote on the day of the election.
Yeah.
So they're saying, well, it's gonna the results are gonna come in of the actual day of elections, but then they're gonna get all the mail-in ballots that are coming in, and he's gonna declare this victory after they've only counted the day of stuff. Yeah. And then mail-in ballots are going to come in and be all like, nope, you suck. We hate you. Get out of there.
Yeah. And he's hoping that the court is going to decide the mail-in ballots aren't valid.
Mm-hmm. He's been already setting the groundwork to distrust everything having to do.
And I thought mail-ins generally supported the Republicans and not the Democrats. It's usually a case that mail-in votes end up supporting the wealthy more than it does.
That I don't know.
Well, that's how it works in Australia. If you're waiting on mail-ins to see where an election goes, generally they will predominantly support the Conservative Party.
Yeah, I'm not sure which party they've tended to support. But a big part of the mail-in ballots traditionally has been the people in the armed forces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Oregon does entirely mail-in voting, which is kind of nice. Yeah, kind of nice.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were already set up for it there.
Yeah, they've already got that all. I think they've been doing it since 80 something. I have no idea.
Minnesota has had the absentee ballots available for people, but that's always been a pretty small percentage of the total vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard something that 860,000 mail-in ballots have been received, as opposed to this time in the 2016 election where it was about 100,000.
Okay.
I don't know where I saw that, but that's what I heard. So feel free to tell me I'm wrong.
So basically what the Republicans are doing there is encouraging Republicans to go out and vote in person so that they can discredit all the mail-in votes.
That's what they're hoping for, but they're also doing a lot of voter suppression, that they're making it very difficult for people in low-income neighborhoods to vote by things like closing polling places, and Trump has already stated that he's going to have police or military guards at the polling places.
Yeah, that's scary.
And this is obviously going to be to intimidate black people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like Republicans and Democrats are living in two alternate universes.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Democrats aren't realizing how the Republicans are playing the game anymore.
Nope.
You got to wonder how long it's going to be before Trump decides he needs to change the American flag.
Just his
put his picture on it.
No, I actually wasn't thinking that. I was thinking of him adopting a different flag that some states might actually prefer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh. I got the sewing.
Yeah.
It's a big worry. So shall we move on to
yes, what have you got for us tonight?
Hi, Jenny.
Oh, there you are, Jenny.
Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. We love you just the same. Just before we move on to anything new, is there anything you want to say about Trump, the High Court, and the crap that's happened in the last week?
You're asking me?
Yes, I am, because we've all said something.
We're fucked. This is the beginning of the end, folks.
This is part of the problem you guys have, because I don't see a good way out of this for you guys no matter what happens, regardless of who wins the election. Trump winning is incredibly bad for you guys.
Short of a Democrat winning and somebody deciding to get crazy with a rifle or something, we're screwed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't advocate that at all, but even if Biden wins, you still have the thing that Trump is not going to vacate.
Yeah. Well, I've been working for the last 2 years to get Canada to annex the Upper Midwest, and if we actually went into a civil war, I could see that happening.
Yeah.
I actually.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
I just wanted to say, to anybody living in progressive countries, I'm single, ready to mingle.
Yeah.
She's like, hit me up. Hit me up.
Yeah, I'd pretty much go anywhere somebody would take me at this point.
Yeah, I don't see America as a safe country at the moment.
Nope.
I mean, there are a lot of countries that have issued travel bans to the US, not just because of COVID, but because of the riots, because of the election, because of the threats that are there. I mean, even if you have you're not going to have a semi-peaceful transfer of power. I can't see that happening. Unless, of course, somebody has a good, solid talking to Trump with, say, a baseball bat.
I can actually see it taking a military guard to pull him out of the White House.
Yes, that was where I was going with that. So, yeah, I can't see it being a good situation for you guys.
Part of me still wants to believe that he has comments about this election and stuff, and him not going, are just his bluster, and he knows he's getting the people upset by saying it strictly as a way to throw everyone off their game with no intention of actually doing that. I mean, come on, how do you do that? How do you do that and not expect to have something really bad happen to you?
Well, Trump is also frightened at this point because being in office is the only thing that is holding off literally dozens and dozens of lawsuits against him.
It is.
As soon as he's out of office, the state's attorney generals of at least 17 different states are going to start processing those lawsuits.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there is that.
Isn't it amazing that he could go down? He will probably go down in history as the most corrupt U.S. president. I mean, he makes
no doubt.
He makes Nixon look like an innocent little angel.
W too.
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean,
well, he was incompetent. He wasn't really corrupt.
I mean,
that's true.
One of the things from this is going to be it almost won't matter who the Republicans offer up in the future as presidential candidate. They're going to be better than Trump.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, there's some really bad eggs still around in that party yet.
Yeah, I suppose you've got Mike Pence,
Lindsey Graham and Pence and Mitch McConnell and
Pence could never win because he's Jewish.
Pence was Jewish?
No.
Oh.
No. But actually, I think he's a little too funny even for some of the evangelicals.
Well, there's like QAnon conspiracy theorists that are running for office right now. Like people who actively follow and believe in that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I can't. I just can't. My cat is currently asleep, and she's very cute right now.
Aww.
She's cute.
If we're going to talk about actual semi-serious news, and we want to get away from Trump, should we talk about the other elephant in the room from this last week coming out of the UK? And Jenny knows what I'm talking about.
Something happened in the UK?
It did. It did. The UK government decided that after years and years of consultation with the community, especially with trans people, and a positive reaction to changes in legislation, that they're just going to scrap the entire thing, despite the fact that the majority of the public actually support the changes to legislation that would allow self-ID.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
Why?
Because their women and equalities minister is a bigot, basically. Yeah. So they've had these consultations. They've had lots of feedback. They've had lots of polls done. They've had lots of information fed back to them. Some of it has been negative from organised groups against trans people. But on the whole, everything had been positive for the way they were doing their changes, maybe with a few minor alterations. But the decision of the Tory government in the UK was, let's scrap the whole thing.
Too many of them were listening to J.K. Rowling.
Oh, pretty much. That's pretty much what it comes down to. I won't say there's entirely bad things that come out of it. The scrapping of it doesn't make things any worse for trans people. They're just not going to make any major changes to the current legislation that's there. They are going to streamline it to make it easier for people to get their gender recognition certificates in the UK, which is a weird way that the UK does birth certificate modifications, but it's just the way they chose to do it. So they're going to streamline it to make it easier and cheaper, but they will still have all the same requirements. People can apply online, and it won't have a huge cost. You'll just have a small administrative cost, which is a good thing. They have also put fundage aside to have 3 new gender centres created so that they can have more staff to help get rid of the backlog of people waiting for treatment. So that is a good thing. There has been no negative thing for trans people aside from the fact that they dropped the legislation completely. So they've been positive. And yet, the thing, I mean, it's not a win for anyone, this. I mean, there's been wins in it for trans people because of the extra services that are going to be applied to help trans people. And that's a great thing. The only negative thing is that they dropped this legislation, but they haven't gone backwards. They haven't rolled back any other legislation that's been there either. So you've got all the gender criticals and the horrible bigot people claiming this is a win, and I'm like, yeah, you stopped the legislation from going through, but did you win? I don't think anyone. To be perfectly honest, I don't think anyone won. But did you actually win?
Let's tell them that they won, and then they'll just pack up and go away.
Well, that's not a bad plan, actually.
How is that going to affect, like day-to-day things like bathroom use for people who haven't started?
It doesn't, and it never did. It never did. The gender recognition stuff was only about people getting changes to their birth certificates. It does not affect people's uses of bathrooms and things like that. That is to do with the Equal Rights Act in the UK, and there was no changes planned for that at all. This was purely about birth certificates, and that was what those bigots were fighting against. They didn't want them to be able to have... They didn't want them to have self-ID. Basically. And yet, the ridiculous thing is, according to the Equalities Act, it is all about self-ID, and the gender recognition certificate is only a legal thing. So, it's not really a win, it's a delay, because you have a change of government in the UK, and this will probably happen anyway, because it was publicly supported. And ultimately, the trans people got all these extra things handed to them in way of apology. And I'm like, okay, so you miss out on your law change for now, but you get extra gender centres for helping people out medically, and you get a streamlined process for the current system, which is going to make life a little bit easier. Not a lot, but a little bit easier in the interim, whilst you wait for a change of government so that you can actually get the other legislation to happen.
It could be less cost prohibitive too.
It's going to be less cost prohibitive. Yeah, I mean, completely. I mean, having the more gender centres means that there will be more opportunities for younger people to get the help they need in transition, which is going to reduce costs and stop people going privately to do these things, which in the UK means saving an awful lot of money because it's all paid for by the government. So, in the long run, even though it's delayed everything, I don't see that the bigots won anything out of this.
Okay, if I understand something about UK politics, I think this is typical of the Tories.
Yeah. That
they tend to do a lot of things that give them good press releases that don't actually accomplish anything.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, the Conservatives do that here too. They pass shit all the time that they know damn well is going to be overturned by the courts.
Okay.
Hello. And then they get a double nickel out of the whole thing because they not only passed the horrible legislation that was going to get turned over, then they get to screen activist judges and score points with that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been an interesting week in politics around the world.
Politics. I've heard of those.
Politics.
I think
yeah.
it might be a big deal somehow.
Isn't this that Chinese curse of may you live in interesting times?
Oh, very much so, isn't it? Yes, we definitely live in interesting times. All right, that's the serious news covered, I think. Shall we move on to something a little less serious?
Did I get here late? Did I miss most of the news?
Yeah, well, you missed all the serious bits of the news. If you want to comment on it, Kate, we've talked about Trump and Supreme Court and the death of Ruth, and we also covered the UK and their dropping their changes to their gender recognition law.
Oh, you
Actually,
missed,
I hadn't heard that bit about the UK, but there isn't a lot I could say about the Supreme Court and Trump and all of that without igniting a shitstorm. So I might.
Well, we
keep my
already
mouth
did
shut.
that, so you can speak to it if you wish.
All right. Well, okay, one thing that's kind of funny, like I know a lot of people are going, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she's the reason that you have to vote for Biden so that he can get his choice and blah, 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 blah. Well, I have been telling people left and right over and over for months what it would take to get me to vote for Joe Biden. And they're all acting like I want to vote for Trump, like I don't want to vote for Biden, which I don't, but I'm telling them how to make me and all this stuff. And I'm just like, dude, I'm giving you the roadmap to get me to vote for the fucker. And all of you are acting like I won't. I don't know. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's not a. It's
although
not,
I have to say that for anyone in America, regardless of who you would vote for president, if you want to go third party or whatever, it's still important to go and vote, especially for senators and representatives, because there is actually a chance of the Democrats taking both houses of Congress in this election.
Absolutely.
And that would totally cripple Trump to a huge degree.
Yeah, it basically would render the president to be a figurehead. He can't accomplish anything without cooperation from Congress.
He'll just write a bunch more useless executive orders.
Yeah.
I will say this about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, though. If you ever end up accidentally typing RGB instead of RBG, you will get a CMYK joke from me.
I'm really surprised. I started following her back when Clinton nominated her, because I'd never heard of her before that, and I realized that she was a real powerhouse in terms of women's rights and generally being for the underdog and stuff.
Yeah,
I've really found it surprising in myself this week that I was crying about her having passed. It's a judge. I'm crying about a judge.
But it is a big deal. I mean, you are now looking,
I noticed.
Especially when you're looking at who's been nominated in the US to replace her. You are looking at the real possibility of Roe versus Wade being overturned. Yeah. All the things that have happened in the last few years that have come out of the courts instead of from the political side. Which have been changes which have improved the life of minorities within the US, that could all get overturned at some point if it's challenged, and the Republicans are quite ready to challenge all these ideas. So freedoms that you've been granted by the courts could be taken away.
Yeah. Well, and she had risen to a celebrity status that generally most people have no idea who the judges are.
Yeah.
Right.
When you said RGB, most people know who you're talking about. They made a freaking Lego minifig of her.
I need that.
I had no idea that was done. Actually, I wonder if they have a Funko Pop. I bet they do. Ah! I was just about to go look it up, and now I don't have to.
What's a Funko Pop?
Like a bobblehead?
Funko Pop, little things that aren't actually bobbleheads, but kind of look like they could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on the license, Star Wars and Marvel are two licenses that they are required to do bobbleheads for. We have about 215 Star Wars Funko Pops. That's what all of this is.
Okay, yeah, to be fair, the Wedge
Jeez.
Antilles sitting in the snow speeder that I have is a bobblehead, so... Alright.
I have a bunch of Chewbacca's. So
I would
'Cause
give
Chewie's
so
cool.
much for them to do a Funko Pop set of my favorite band. To have a Roxette Funko Pop set with both Pear and Marie represented would be so fucking cool.
I want Tom Petty Funko Pops. That's what I want.
I think I'll just answer Godless Sewing's question in the chat, which goes back to when we were talking about the GRA. No, the UK did not get rid of the GRA. They got rid of the GRA reforms. So the GRA still exists in its original legislation. All they're going to do is, instead of improving it so that it could be based on self-ID instead of requiring a whole heap of signatures from doctors and that to support people who identify as trans, all they're going to do is streamline the process so that it can be done mostly online and with a lot less cost involved and happen quicker. So they haven't got rid of the GRA. The GRA still exists in law. They're just not going to make any legal changes to it to make it easier for trans people to get new birth certificates. So all the requirements that already existed will be there for now until a different government comes in and says, hey, we probably should change this and actually make it simpler. But there's been wins for the trans community as well, as I said, in the terms of getting... the UK is going to have more gender clinics to help people, and there's going to be more funds put into helping trans people in the NHS, which is a win for trans people. So it's not all bad.
Yeah, it sounds like overall it's going to make it easier for them over there.
Yeah, I honestly think overall it's ended up being a win for trans people. Not the win they wanted, but a win nonetheless.
Yeah. Step in the right direction.
It certainly is, and it hasn't. Whilst the Tory government has scrapped doing the GRA reforms, like I said, Labour government gets in later in the UK. It's most likely those reforms will go through at that point. So it's just something that's been kicked down the future. They just don't want to deal with it now, but they're prepared to deal with the other stuff because that looks good to the electorate. Hey, we have done something. So
yeah.
Sometimes I really wish I could erase certain jokes from my memory or whatever.
Okay, come on, you've got to share it now.
Well, every time someone says trans, my brain goes to Transformers and starts composing jokes about Decepticons. So, I mean,
which doesn't necessarily sound good.
Well, but I mean, that's the thing is like, I get sick of it after a while. I wish I could make my brain not make that joke. You know, you guys would all want to beat me up if I said it as many times as it occurs to me.
Yeah.
I always wanted to see them make a Transformer that had 3 modes. So one was a male robot, one was a female robot, and one was a car.
I think it's weird that robots are male or female anyway. I mean, granted, I know you meant masculine and feminine, but still. Then again, in one of the Michael Bay movies, one of the Transformers did have a huge set of metal nads, so maybe they are boys and girls.
And also, they had very racist Transformers in those movies, too.
Well, Michael Bay sucks.
They did have a few female Transformers in the original series.
They did.
Well, there was RC was the only one on Earth. But then when they went back to Cybertron and they went back in time, there was 3 female Transformers that Optimus Prime knew from, millions of years ago.
What was the name of what's-her-face who was like both sort of pink and white, or maybe a little magenta instead of pink? You know the one I mean?
Yeah, I do, and I can't remember.
Yeah, that was RC.
Oh, that was RC.
That was RC?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Huh. All right. I could have sworn
she was the only female Transformer that was on Earth during the series.
I feel like we need Andrew Torres from Opening Arguments to enter
that
into
is
this.
definitely the one I was
we've
thinking
moved to Transformers. All right. Well, whilst we've moved from serious news, let's start off with what was
Florida man inserted kill it anyway.
What was found underneath New York's Grand Central Station?
An alligator.
No. This was something that was made by workers at the station.
Oh no.
Oh.
Another city.
It like a fallout shelter? A man.
No, a man cave. Yes.
Yep.
Oh god! I was gonna say a murder dungeon.
No, but I love that.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. So,
Different concept.
investigators from the Metropolitan Transport Authority were tipped off that there were three male workers at the station who would disappear for a time during their shifts, and they wouldn't know where they were. When they went and found it, they found this room that they'd obviously found that was an old area of the station that had been cordoned off, and they'd put a fridge. They'd run power cables into it because it wasn't powered. They put a fridge and a microwave, a large LCD panel TV, and a sofa bed. Table.
And sofa bed.
Yeah,
Please tell me that they were like patted on the head and told not to do it again rather than fired. Please tell me.
Yeah, apparently, the room was deemed a fire hazard because as it wasn't mapped. They just found it. It wasn't part of the mapping. Many rescue workers would never have been able to find these people who were in the room. Yeah, no, even the bosses didn't know of the existence of this room. They've been suspended without pay and will face disciplinary hearings.
What a lot of people are not aware of is that there are places all over New York with part of the subway system that have been abandoned and are now used by homeless people as their own underground communities.
See,
by the thousands.
This is the beginning of the movie Chud.
And it's also a part of the comic Watchmen too, as Dan has like at the end of a subway line that he operates out of, and
right. Oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry, I was trying to graft the whole formed a society onto the part in Watchmen. I'm like, I don't remember that.
Yep.
But the main reason that I had said Fallout Shelter first was I could not dredge Man Cave out of my head meats. What actually was in there was Bud Hole. If you've ever seen The Good Place, you remember the one dude had a Bud Hole, but everyone thought it was Butthole at first? So I could not dredge Man Cave out of my head for the longest time, and it was frustrating.
Well, I was going to go with Fallout Shelter because in the 1980s, when they were doing some work in the utility tunnels under the University of Minnesota, they did find a 1950s fallout shelter that had been bricked up. Wow. And inside, it was still stocked with all the food on the shelves.
Was it still good?
Yeah, they opened up some of the cans and they said it was still edible.
Yeah. Nice.
But now you're talking about that. There's a set of fallout shelters that were built during the Second World War in Germany, where a entire community decided that they kept their smaller houses above ground, but they built themselves a city underground in this thing. Wow. Yeah, and cool. the authorities got really upset about it, but they had everything down there. They built pubs and they built all these dwellings. I mean, it was gorgeous what they'd done. It was beautiful.
Yeah,
the authorities got all upset about
it.
They actually went so far as that they changed the name of themselves from human beings to Morlocks.
No, I don't remember. I don't know if every college has this, but when I went to RIT in New York, we had the tunnels. There were all these tunnels completely under the campus, and there was like a corner store in there and a couple of rooms and stuff. And there was this big, long quarter mile that would take you from the dorms to the classrooms. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, University of Minnesota has that. Most of the buildings are connected with underground tunnels.
Isn't one of the cities in Canada like that, where a lot of the stuff is actually underground because it's better during winter when it's freaking cold? So
yeah, that's what they did in Minnesota.
Yeah.
That sounds like Montreal, to be honest, but I could be wrong. It's been decades.
It's been... Yeah, I can't remember where it is, but I know that they've got underground shopping malls, they've got streets, they've got footpaths that are warmed underground that you can walk through, and you can get to most areas of the city by going underground instead of having to go above ground. You know, if you hop in the trains and everything, you can get around the city underground without going above ground.
Well, downtown Minneapolis, they have the Skyway system, which are bridges over the streets connecting most of the buildings.
Oh, wow.
And when my sister worked in one of the shops there, her boss didn't even own a winter coat because he just lived in one of the one of the apartments at the end of the Skyway system, and he just didn't go outside 6 months out of the year.
Oh wow, that's actually kind of cool.
You can see him in the background of a lot of shots of Mary Tyler Moore show.
Oh, okay.
Well, I looked up a map, and I guess it's not Montreal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. We need a Canadian.
Where's Neil?
Right.
He's doing his own show. That's where Neil is. All right. Let's move on to the next one. What stopped a football, by football I mean soccer, match in West Yorkshire for 20 minutes?
Porn!
If this had involved porn, there would have been people arrested.
Yeah.
Well, they're
a
both
streaker
right.
on the field.
Sorry?
They're both right, aren't they?
A streaker on the field?
Not a streaker, but there was definitely something on the field.
A cat.
Some kind of animal.
An animal.
Turds.
Yes.
Oh, there was animals. Well, were there animal turds?
Oh,
probably. Little round ones, probably.
there were lots of rabbits.
Chickies landing on the field.
A great big flock of rabbits.
No, it was a singular animal, but not one that you would expect even in West Yorkshire.
Gazelle.
A goat.
It was a
Platypus.
gazelle.
Not a bird.
A goat.
A gibbon.
Goat is closer, but not a goat. Think more South American animal that was
A llama.
a llama.
A
Yes,
chupacabra. Oh, I like my answer better.
yes, a llama ran onto the pitch during the middle of a match, and it took them 20 minutes to catch it and get it off.
Now, was it a llama or an alpaca?
Sorry.
That's
An alpaca, sorry, not a llama. An alpaca. Yes.
Okay, why did they call
Alpacas are
it
smaller.
Why did they call it a pitch in a soccer game? Nothing's ever pitched.
You know,
They
I
still
bet it
call it a
probably
football
had
pitch.
pitch on it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's got more. I think it's got
I'm
more to do.
curious.
I think it's got more to do with the way they do the groundworks on them than it does to do with than it does to with what you actually do on it. So like
Yeah.
because generally speaking, when you were talking about grass fields and you'd mark them in the old days, they'd mark them by putting pitch on for the lines because it would kill that bit of the grass, and then the dead grass would mark the edges of the pitch that you.
Oh, I wasn't aware they used pitch.
Yeah.
Okay, that would explain it.
Well,
Yeah, and
I
nowadays
was,
it just use
for
Roundup.
some reason,
Yeah.
this reminds me of when I got curious about why Canadians, to bring us back to Canada, call each other hoser. Because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And most of the people I asked didn't know. It turns out that the losers of a hockey match often had to hose down the rink. And so if you're a hoser, you're a loser of a hockey match, or just a loser in general, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
At least that's what the internet told me. It could easily lie.
And
It
now I
makes
just can't stop
sense.
thinking about Letterkenny.
We
So,
have
thank
no
you.
Canadians to stand up for what is the truth here, so
And again, if someone wants to say I'm wrong, I welcome the opportunity to learn more. So if there's any videos of people saying, look at what Bionic Dan said and she was totally wrong, fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. Just come on.
No, I heard Neil say that very thing.
Okay.
So our next story, it sounds like it's a Florida man one, but it's not. It's from the UK.
I was gonna say Texas.
No, this is from the UK, from Manchester in the UK.
Should that be Person-chester these days?
Chester. Non-binary
Sorry,
Chester.
Yeah.
Again, they Chester.
They Chester, yeah. They Chester.
There you go.
What was this man found using as a face mask?
Cat.
Woman's panties.
Yeah,
No.
that's it. No.
No.
No. Men's panties.
No, not panties, not fabric at all.
Okay.
Oh,
A
Plastic
lettuce
bag.
leaf or a cabbage leaf.
No, but you're
Nope.
you're heading down the right track of things, of thinking of things that were or are alive.
Well, okay, vegetable.
Well,
or
I didn't
animal.
want to go to dead animals, but
Not dead, not dead.
Not
Purple,
Oh dear. A turtle.
not a turtle. But
No.
You're in the right arm of animal family. The animal
lizard.
tree.
Spiderweb.
Not a spider. Spider is not really
a cobra, but he'd have to punch it.
close.
He stapled his glass to his face.
Close, but close. Well, very close, because it is a snake. It wasn't a cobra, though.
Not a cobra. Boa constrictor?
Yes. Yes. He
Okay.
had a boa wrapped around his...
A boa!
A boa, yeah, a boa. No, a live though, wrapped around his face, and he was claiming that this was his mask for COVID.
This guy had to be Florida man, right?
No, I already said he's not Florida man, but I can imagine it's in Florida.
Does it say
How
where he's
stupid do you have to be to wrap a boa constrictor?
Manchester,
around
the
your head or
UK.
neck?
Oh, you're right. You did say.
Yeah, if you're going to have a live boa around your neck is the absolute worst place.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very smart.
I'm trying to picture, because this does not sound like something British people do. This sounds like something you find right here in good old USA.
A lady he was actually riding a bus. He was riding a bus, and a lady, one of the other people on the bus, a lady looked at him and thought, "That's a weird looking face mask." Before she saw it move. And ended up reporting him to the driver, who got authorities to get this guy. Basically, like, you can't ride on the bus with a live snake wrapped around your face.
I wonder if anyone there was, what the hell's snakeophobic? I should know this. Herpophobic?
Yeah.
Herpetophobic?
Something like that.
I don't know.
But, well, I mean, because herpetology is the study of snakes in it.
Yeah, snakes and lizards. Yep.
So, yeah. But, I mean, point being, if someone was scared of a snake and they're in a bus where they can't really reasonably get out, oh, that poor person.
Yeah. It is, yeah, apparently none of the patrons on the bus were actually scared of this snake. It was actually quite peaceful and everything. But, yeah, the authorities asked him to leave and get a proper mask.
Has anybody ever knitted a sweater for a snake?
How does that work? They've got no arms to put them.
I'm sure if you scan the internet, you'll find a pattern for it. Yeah.
Could they still slither with one on?
Yeah, that would be my question as well. I mean, how do they move once you've put them inside something like that? I suppose you could have a cape where they could still move from underneath. But
okay. I stopped myself before I could look up snake sweater, because what we're talking about, and I'd rather not see what I would find. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's smart.
Good call.
Snake sweater.
But my hands were on the keyboard ready to start. And then I said no.
I don't want to regret this decision.
Yo.
All right, let's have a Florida man.
Yay!
Yay!
All right, so this is what happened at a Kmart in Hudson. The guy's name was John Balmer, and he was arrested for having something on himself. But the funny part isn't what he was. It wasn't what he had on him. It was the T-shirt he was wearing.
Oh dear.
The funny part wasn't what he had on it.
Yes, I mean what he got arrested for. It isn't unusual. People get arrested for this sort of thing all the time. Especially if you're, that way. But yeah, he had a T-shirt on that way. Sorry, that's not the right choice of words. No, he was not gay.
He was buck naked.
He was not. He had a T-shirt on. I already said he had a T-shirt on. The T-shirt said
nothing else.
T-shirt.
Yeah, I will read the T-shirt. I had the picture of it. Yeah, that'd be right.
Wait a minute. I know it says you can take my gun from my cold dead hands, and he's wearing an empty holster. Well, I like that anyway.
I like it.
The first line of the T-shirt was, "I don't have any drugs."
Oh dear.
So he got busted with a couple hundred opiates.
He got busted with opiates and marijuana.
Nice.
The second line of his T-shirt said, "No, seriously, I have drugs. Ask me."
Oh. See, I was just about to guess that it said come back with a warrant, but anyway.
No. Although he was not arrested for the T-shirt, that wasn't what alerted him. He was doing his deal with the person behind him in the queue at Kmart.
Well,
Sounds like Kmart.
Okay.
Yeah. So
like
he was
doing
the deal, the drug deal, with the person behind him in Kmart. He was the one selling, obviously. So the person had obviously seen his T-shirt and like, "Hey, do you actually have any drugs?" Maybe not.
I didn't
but
know there were any Kmart's left.
And that's awfully brazen.
It is,
Yeah.
and the cop was just standing there watching him.
See, I was kind of hoping that the person behind him was the cop, and he had asked the guy, "Are you a cop?" And the guy said no.
Oh, because
And
they're not allowed to
You
do
know
that.
they're
Entrapment.
legally obligated to tell you. That's like complete bullshit. That's not a thing. Right?
Oh, they don't.
They're
I
not-
thought it was
Yeah.
considered
No.
entrapment, though.
No.
No, well, that's what they keep pushing in movies, but not really a law.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it doesn't work like that here, but I'm not sure how it works like that for you guys.
I'm pretty sure here, if you try to sell drugs to a cop, he doesn't have to tell you he's a cop until he arrests you, and neither does she if
Yep.
it happens to be a chick.
Yeah.
I wonder what the ratio is of like male uniformed police officers to female uniformed police officers versus undercover male versus female. I wonder what the ratio is.
There's probably more men, but I wouldn't have thought it would be by much, because there's certainly locations where it's beneficial for either gender to be the person
Well, I know-
undercover. So
I know that at times, like, they'll have someone go undercover dressed as a hooker, so it's not like there aren't undercover roles for women. Obviously, there are. I'm just wondering, like, is there a prejudice built into the system where it's, like, less likely that you get to be undercover if you have a twat?
I mean, probably.
Probably,
Well, if you're
yeah.
gonna be
I mean, there
if
is
you're
in
gonna be
most things,
undercover,
Kate. So
you have to blend with your targets and stuff, and
Yeah.
men are by far more likely to be a lawbreaker than women. So it would make sense.
yeah,
Although I imagine women would be more easily overlooked by men who are drug dealers.
yes, probably.
True.
But
I don't know.
I'm
Probably
pretty.
not information you can find easily, so whatever, it doesn't matter.
I'd be pretty sure there's a layer of sexism in there. If there is a role that could be taken by either, there's probably a greater chance it's going to go to the man. Just because in most areas of life there is that element of sexism.
Yeah.
But
Although I would think that women would be more effective with it because men are prone to doing stupid things in front of a pretty woman.
There is that.
But there's also the aspect that a lot of the undercover work is going to have a specific niche need, and in that case, the right person for the job is probably also gender based as well. So
Yeah.
there may also be the case that it's there is sexism there, but I would hazard a guess that a lot of it is overshadowed by the fact that you have to have a particular gender to do a particular undercover job. There's just no choice. It's situational.
Like women women going undercover among drug dealers could be problematic in a rather specific way. Unless you somehow manage to make yourself a female bouncer, there's a good chance someone is going to expect to have sex with you. And unless you're willing to do that for your job, it could get a bit hairy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it makes sense to mostly use men in that context, but still.
Yeah. And there's the aspect that the sexism that comes into it could also come from the criminal element that you're trying to infiltrate. So because that is inherently sexist and there might be more men involved in that crime, it makes more sense to send a man into it than it does to send a woman into the job. So the sexism may not actually come from the police per se, as it does from the crime that they're trying to infiltrate. So
Yeah.
I suppose it all depends on your goals when it comes to, like
these
you say,
bloody
the
sexist criminals.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I think we need to have sanctions imposed upon sexist criminals. Start
I do
garnishing
too.
their wages.
That they should have to reach targets of equality in their in their criminality.
Oh, don't even get me started on. I had this big argument with someone about the Academy Awards and how they now have these diversity requirements to be considered for Best Picture, which, speaking as a filmmaker myself, I found kind of annoying and obnoxious. Like, I get the reason behind them, but I hate the idea of having art being beholden to other people's like check boxes. You know what I mean?
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like hell, speaking as an animator, I don't even want to see the faces of my voice actors until after they've auditioned, you know, because I want their differences to be unremarkable.
Yeah.
Like if someone is one race, but they sound like they're speaking culturally like another, that's awesome. You're talented, and I might want you on my team, you know?
Especially for voice acting. I mean, voice acting is... Lots of people do lots of different types of voices for voice acting.
But apparently I'm a complete and total bigot if I don't want to like have my art changed just so I can possibly get an award. That's obnoxious. I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Okay. Totally agree. All right. Shall we move on to the next Florida man? Next Florida man. Okay. This one is a robbery that was attempted at a GameStop.
I used to work for GameStop. Oh my god. Fuck.
You said
what was Florida man wearing on his head when he tried to rob the GameStop?
An alligator.
Not an alligator.
My first initial thought was one of those giant cheese wedges that they wear up in like Minnesota or some shit.
No, that's Wisconsin.
Whatever, or some shit I said. But yeah, that was my first thought. I don't know why.
Did it obscure his face?
Not very well.
Minnesota has a state law that it's illegal to cross the state line with a duck on your head.
Okay.
Oh,
you know what inspired that law?
No idea where that came from. Just something I found on the internet.
Well, now I want to look.
But it actually is in the official state statutes.
Now, was this thing he was wearing video game related, genre related in any way?
Oh, no, it was not.
Okay.
No, he was wearing something that made his identity rather revealed. Unlike what he thought.
A boa constrictor?
No, he was not wearing a boa constrictor, though that would have been awesome if I could have found that. He had obviously been drinking some water previously and decided he had a good use for the wrapping.
A Dasani? Like a Dasani thing that goes around a bottle?
Yeah, the plastic wrapping that goes around the outside of a collection of water bottles.
Oh my god.
And he thought this would conceal his identity somehow.
He did. So, aside from the little bits of writing that were on it, he's basically put his head in a clear plastic bag.
Yeah. Is he 4?
Do not let me.
No, he's older than 4. Not only that, but he'd walked in to case the joint before he'd done the job. Before he tried to rob
wearing the same outfit,
wearing exactly the same clothes and looking at the security camera.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of that one story that goes around the internet every now and then about the guy who insisted that lemon juice made him invisible. And like when they caught him trying to rob the bank, he just strolled in and tried to rob the bank. He was perplexed. He's like, but I wore the juice. Now, I don't know if this story's apocryphal, but it comes around, makes the rounds at least once a year.
I've never heard it before.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Sorry, Kate. No, we're all very helpful.
I haven't heard the story, but you know, I've heard other delusions that I can certainly believe this was something that happened.
Well, here, I'll post a link to it right in the chat. Oh, I can't because it won't let me post a web address. Fine.
Oh,
Just look up, but
if
I
you
will-
type something first, Kate, I'll make sure you're opt. So you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Moderated.
if you type in "but I wore the juice" into Google, you'll come across the story, and it's mostly told in reference to like how Dunning-Kruger works.
Yeah.
It auto-filled.
So, but anyway,
Aunt Jura's mentioning we've got the echo.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
I don't hear it, so maybe it's me.
I heard it very briefly with my own voice, so it might have been me. I turned down my speaker volume and moved my microphone further away just in case.
Yeah, it could have been when I dropped my headphones and I had to swap them around, so it might have picked up an echo then. Is it still echoing out, Joe?
Not at the moment, but it seems like it's now. I hear myself.
Okay.
It's like coming and going.
Weird.
There's multiples.
I don't know if other people watching can hear it, or if it's not a problem.
Yeah, I can't hear it, so...
Yeah, I do too.
I
mean-
hear it, but I don't really think it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I can deal with it. I just don't know what it sounds like to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
so-
was still there when I had my mic muted, so it's not my end.
Yeah, I'm
Out
not.
of,
I'm not seeing it on the thingy bars for OBS, so I'm not sure where it's coming from. It could just be a StreamYard thing, maybe, and I'm just not hearing it. But
Out of
let's ask the chat: can they hear an echo?
out of curiosity, I'm hoping you can pronounce your name for me because I'm never sure if it's Aunt Jer. What?
Jer rhymes with fur.
Yes.
Oh, okay, excellent. Gotcha. Thank you. I've been wanting to know that for a while and haven't been because I don't want to mispronounce anyone's name. That often pisses them off. So,
If you want to make it even more confusing, she's a Jenny as well.
okay,
That's why I
future
switched to my
scene is
nickname.
lousy with Jens and Jennies. What the hell?
We're taking over the world.
Yeah.
I'm like the only Susan, so I'm okay with that.
I
Yeah,
Maybe
actually,
no,
I'm
I'm
struggling to
definitely
think of
not the
another
only-
Susan.
there's Kate Harthwaite. That's right. So there's more than one Kate in this scene.
Yeah. But not too many of you.
It's true.
We could call you Jenny Kate if you like.
Nah, I'm good. Thank you. Oh, wait, to tell you
There's
the truth,
enough of us
it'll be
Jens that we could have a
confusing.
whole one of these shows with just Jens.
But would the world
And
kill
do it
off its
naked
axis?
so there'd be nothing but genitals.
Oh! Well, that's fine by me. I've got little less. I haven't got much left to show the world. So.
Right. Well, and you know what? If you want a little advertising, I can be your progenitor.
Oh. And the dad jokes are strong today.
Don't laugh at her. It only encourages her.
Yeah, I've already.
I'm
been
okay
there.
with
But we like encouraging her.
I enjoy the bad jokes. I genuinely do. Because my favorite joke is, why do seagulls fly towards the sea?
Because if they flew towards the bay, they'd be bagels.
Thank you. Nobody ever knows jokes. And I appreciate you so much.
I
so much, Kate.
my favorite joke as a kid was why is the sand wet? Because of
Why?
seaweed.
Oh no, that's terrible, and I love it.
I thought it was because the waves got it excited.
That's the adult version of that one.
Is that what
And
sea foam is?
I know you've got like OBS running, so sharing a screen isn't super possible. But I took a screenshot of Obi-Wan talking to Luke, and he says Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force. It got him drunk and shagged him on the veranda.
Oh.
Yeah, well, you know, seriously, every time I ever watched that movie and they got to that line, I'd be like, but seduced means fell in love, and you know, and like I couldn't interpret it because I was 6.
Oh dear.
Right on the veranda?
Right.
Shagged him on the veranda. Shagged him on the veranda is actually a reference to Blackadder, but mildly obscure. So. Yeah.
Love it.
Love it. So. Awesome, Kate. Okay, so we've got our next Florida man we've got a Florida man who was arrested for breaking into somewhere. Why is it weird where he broke into?
Broke into the county jail.
Well, yes, sort of, perhaps.
Well, broke into prison then.
Yes, he broke into prison. Do we know why?
He was hungry?
Because he had broke out and didn't want anyone to know.
He left his...
He'd been released. He had been released on probation. So he was legitimately released. He got tangled in the fence's razor wire when he was trying to break back into the jail. Yes.
He was homeless and hungry and needed somewhere to go.
No, he was not.
He got his wallet.
No, he did not. But it was a holiday weekend, and he wanted to break in to the prison because
Wait a minute. Was it a men's prison?
It was a men's prison.
Ah, darn. I was hoping for some really wacky love story.
No, I think it still might be. Yeah.
No, it's not a wacky love story, but he was lonely.
So he wanted to get back to Bulldog, the dude who buggered him in the shower?
No, he just had some close friends who he wanted to spend. He wanted to spend the holiday weekend with. So he thought he'd break back into the jail just so he could hop in with them, bring them some food from outside, and they could have a bit of a party.
Did he have a plan for how he was going to get back out again?
He did not. He just thought this was a good idea.
I suppose he could have said, check the records, I don't belong here, and hoped for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when he was caught in the razor wire, he decided to fight the officer who was trying to get him out of the razor wire. Apparently when he brought the car in, his vehicle in to get in there, he actually crashed into the fence. So he's now up for, after being out on parole, he is now going back to court under charges of aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer, 3 accounts of felony criminal mischief, and leaving the scene of a crash and not reporting the damage properly.
License?
No, he did have a license.
It seems like the only defense he could give in court was, I'm an idiot.
Yeah. What did his
I
t-shirt
lost my
say?
friends and I'm a schmuck. Go easy on me.
Yeah.
Well, he got what he wanted.
He did. He got his holiday. His holiday weekend with his friends.
They're going to put him in a different jail, though. They're not going to let him back to that one.
He's so cruel.
In my own defense, I have none.
But really, his only option is to play the sympathy card.
Yeah. Which card's that one?
Yeah.
Is it death? Is it the hangman? Is it? I don't know why I went with tarot then, but hey.
Yeah, it's a better alternative. Yeah,
it's a good alternative.
I don't know what I'm thinking of. Anyway.
You gotta love Florida Man. All right, so Florida Man was charged for doing something in the middle of a crosswalk.
Masturbating.
No, he was not masturbating. It wasn't sexual.
He was directing traffic.
He was not. He
Are you sure it wasn't sexual for him? People have weird fetishes.
I don't think this was sexual. He did have a small table and a chair.
Okay, that negates my next guess.
Selling Girl Scout cookies.
No, but it did involve food.
Okay, selling top brownies.
He was eating a TV dinner.
He had a big bottle of maple syrup with him.
He was getting the Pepsi
It was
challenge.
Yes, pancakes.
Wow. Okay, but the middle of the road part?
Yep.
Pancake party. It can happen at any time.
No, he legitimately carried a small table and a chair, along with a plate with pancakes and some maple syrup, out to the middle of this crosswalk, sat down and ate them.
Well, it was National Pancake Day last week, so.
Was it a fairly busy road or just sort of somewhere off in the burbs?
Yeah, now the police were called to the scene, but he had already finished his pancakes and left by the time. But there is video footage of him doing this. Well,
then I can
and they did find him. So his name was Thomas. He went viral because of eating his pancakes in the middle of the road. So you can't help thinking it was a bit of a gimmick. Yeah, he basically admitted that he ate the pancakes in the middle of the road as a bit of a prank. It was like the boys were around and they all had a dare, and that's what he went and did. He was charged with obstructing the roadway and disrupting the flow of traffic, and will appear in court for the pancake prank.
I'm looking at the footage, and it does appear to be a 4-lane road. So yeah, kind of easy.
Yeah, ballsy.
And those people in those cars don't look happy.
No, but although he looks happy in his green PJ bottoms and eating his pancakes.
Oh, we're looking at a different guy. The guy I'm looking at has no shirt on.
No, this guy has no shirt. I said pants, not top.
Oh, I could have sworn you said. Okay, my bad.
No, he's got. It looks like he's got green PJ bottoms on, doesn't it? And slippers.
But no shirt, right?
No shirt.
Guy,
no.
Shirt? Okay.
No, and he's yeah, he's a bit of a Jimi Hendrix lookalike, actually, isn't he?
I can see that. See that. But it's mostly the hair.
It's mostly the hair, yes. I'll agree with you on that. It's mostly the hair. But I kind of like this. I really hope that when it goes to court, they just they don't charge him because of the lols. Because I know he was obstructing traffic, but it's still hilarious.
Well, it seems like obstructing traffic can't be much more than a ticket.
Yeah, I can't imagine he'd get more than a fine for this. This going to prison for this would just be ridiculous.
Yeah, I expect they'll slap him with $100 fine or something.
Maybe it was a class assignment for like a sociology class, like to do something out of the ordinary. Like,
back in the 70s, Milwaukee, on a fairly routine basis, would arrest people and put them in jail for jaywalking.
That's crazy.
Yes, it is.
That is,
Doofy.
Why? I mean, has anyone ever not jaywalked? I mean...
Actually, I had a question a while back, and I realized there's probably no actual answer that new legislation would have to be written to cover this. But if we develop some form of hover boots, how high up off the ground do you have to be able to cross the road in the middle and it not be jaywalking?
Ooh.
14 feet is the standard height for bridges, so I assume they'd go with that.
Fair enough.
And how high before you need to, report to air traffic control?
I think you have to be at least as high as the highest building, but that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, generally speaking, aircraft aren't allowed below the highest buildings' heights in and around urban areas.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they already have restrictions for flying drones.
I believe 500 feet is the minimum altitude for anything, including like a helicopter.
Okay.
Yeah, at what point does the FAA get involved with it? So,
the moment you get into an airplane, the FAA is involved.
But I mean, that's one of the reasons why I specifically mentioned hover boots, because they're clearly not a vehicle, and yet they still allow you to fly.
Well, drones didn't qualify either until they passed a law that said they do now.
Well, that's true. That's why I mentioned before that you might need new legislation to cover this one.
Yeah.
You gotta adapt.
It's one of those complex issues, which is there's multiple reasons why we don't actually have flying cars, and the main ones aren't technologically based. It's mostly about we have enough problems with people managing driving in 2 dimensions. Imagine adding a third.
Well, mean, you'd reduce vehicular crashes by quite a lot, but you'd probably increase, car meets building crashes a lot more.
Oh,
Well,
hell yeah.
I think it would be a boon to the funeral industry.
Yeah.
I still love the idea of self-driving cars, like a self-driving version of Lyft or Uber, where some cars are going to come back with dead people in the back that they just died along, their ride.
That's true.
Oh.
Yeah, it's got to happen at some point.
Yeah.
But
They'll have autopilots.
But when you're talking about self-driving cars, that is the only way we're going to end up with flying cars as general access, is that your cars will be driven by a computer. You won't be driving them yourself. Because, I mean, I would not... I don't trust half the people who are driving on our two-dimensional roads. I'm not going to trust them for fucking flying in the air.
Also agreed.
Yeah. I have long advocated that they should make the requirements to get a driver's license more akin to what it takes to get a license for a single-engine plane. And then 85% of the people wouldn't have a driver's license, and they'd have to make public transportation actually functional.
You should check out what it takes to get a driver's license in many of the countries of Europe. It is quite arduous and quite expensive.
What are the requirements in the US? Because I'm actually interested. How hard is it?
You got to be 16.
Yeah.
And you got to be breathing.
Basically.
Well, no, if you're under 18, you have to take some classroom instruction.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you do have to pass first a written test that you understand the laws, and then generally there's a skill test that actually an instructor has to take you out on the roads.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can
in
get their
Texas, you have to
competency.
have your permit for at least 6 months in Texas.
Yeah.
You have to have the learner's permit for at least 6 months before you can actually take the skill test.
Okay. So
I think it's a little
best-
strange
your
that when
best-
your license is being renewed, you don't have to retest at all. I mean, the only time I ever had to take another test for my driver's license was when I changed states.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do soon.
Yeah, I'm actually stuck right now because technically my license is expired because it only lasts 3 months after my move. But the DMV has been closed for 6 months.
Oof.
A lot of government agencies are giving leeway for things like that. I haven't had to fill out a renewal for my medical care stuff since the pandemic started, and I don't think they're going to ask until it's over.
Yeah.
Well, Sloth Girl
Speaking of
did
which,
get
I'll be
harassed by
right
a
back.
police officer for her license being too far out. And she wasn't even stopped. She was just witnessing an accident.
Ooh.
And the cop harassed her for not having her license changed yet.
But why would he even ask if she was just watching an accident?
Because she was a witness, they asked her for ID.
Yep.
Oh, I see. Okay, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow I didn't picture that she witnessed it at the moment. I thought she came across an accident. So the clarification makes more sense.
In Australia,
she was
cannot.
actually a couple of cars behind the accident.
In Australia, you cannot get a learner's permit until you're 16. You cannot actually get a full driver's license until you're 17. You not only do you have to do a written test and a practical test, you also have to, whilst you're on a learner's permit, have had so many hours documented that you've actually done driving, a time spent driving, both with a person who's held their license for over 5 years and had some time with the driving instructor as well. It's a requirement. And then even once you get your license, you get what's called a probationary license, which lets you drive on your own, but gives you a whole heap of different extra rules that you have to follow. For example, probation drivers cannot have any alcohol at all in their system when they're driving.
Makes sense.
They
that
also
anyone
have
should.
there's some reduced speed limits, and there are certain roadways that they're not allowed on.
Wow.
And there's degrees of probationary, so your first 12 months you have more restrictions than for the next 2 years, but you're a probationary driver for 3 years.
Wow, crazy. I mean, here it's like I got my permit at 15, my license at 16. Robert's your mother's brother. Done. That's it.
No, not easy here. No, you have to jump through an awful lot of hoops to get your driver's license in Australia. It's hard enough that a lot of young people, especially if you live in urban areas which you have good public transport in, will not bother. They'll just
I
use
remember
public
when I was
transport.
working video stores, the sheer number of non-driver IDs I had to deal with.
Yeah.
So,
In a lot of U.S. states, you can get a provisional license as early as 14.
Oh yeah, especially if you like work on a farm and shit.
Yeah, especially if you're in a rural area,
Yeah.
that doesn't have any kind of other transportation.
Yeah.
oh, I am such a dick. What popped into my head was, yes, we will allow you to get your license at 14 if you're a Quaker. If you're one of those people from the weird sect that doesn't let you use technology, you can drive whenever you like.
Yeah, it's like it's fine.
Well, that's all right. You'd be allowed to have your horse and carriage on the road then.
Now, I have
I
wondered about that.
that was a really asshole joke, but it popped into my head and I had to say it.
But there is that thing. Are they required when they ride their horse and buggy on the road to actually have a license? Because you
I've
are
wondered
using
about
the
that, I'm not
roadway.
sure. Yeah.
But
You
it's
are-
not a motor vehicle.
No, it's not. But you are using the roadway. You are having to follow the road rules, and you are a danger on the road as much as other things on the road are a danger to you. So would they have to have a license for that?
Well,
they
I
don't
know
do
there are
it.
requirements for the carriage itself, that it has to have certain signage and such,
Yeah, it
but
has
I'm
to have
not
a-
sure about the driver.
It has to have a slow-moving vehicle sign on it, as if having a horse in the front isn't enough of a message.
Right?
But you might not notice from behind.
There is an answer, by the way. I'm seeing here, do the Amish need a license to drive a horse wagon? And apparently no. All they need is a notification that says, like, slow vehicle on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you don't need a license to ride a bicycle.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
There are exceptions to that. Now that the pedal cars, I shouldn't say pedal cars because pedal car means something entirely different. But the e-bikes have become a thing where you've got the ones that are covered and everything.
Yeah.
In some countries, depending on the layout of the e-bike, a license is required for it. And it depends on the power of the motors, how many wheels it has, and how wide it is. So if you've got one that's a little bit extra wide with a bit more power in the motor, etc., you will require a license for that vehicle and a moped license at least to drive it on the road. Whereas
in America, a three-wheeled vehicle is often regarded as a motorcycle.
It's true.
Yep. In most cases.
I think the e-bikes are an exception in most countries as long as they fall under certain specs, because e-bikes are becoming a big thing now. So I'm actually hoping to make one.
I don't know if pedal car means something that I'm not picturing over there in Australia, but I have literally been in a car that had pedals. My dad, I was raised by hippies. We have these, like my dad was always into energy conservation before he started getting into other stuff. And so we had this thing called a twike that was basically a three-wheeled vehicle that was both electric and pedal powered.
Yep. Yeah, that's what they call them e-bikes now. I mean, e-bike can be any bike that's got electrical motor assist as part of it, so you can pedal and ride it.
Completely enclosed. It was like you were inside some sort of hover pod from sci-fi.
Yeah. No, you some of them are completely enclosed, some are not, and it just depends. So yeah, but I really like the enclosed ones. I want one, but I want to make it. I don't want to buy one. I want to actually make it. Get old bikes, cut them down, weld stuff together, and actually build my own, because that'll be fun. So I might actually film doing that because that could be cool.
So if anyone's curious, just hop onto like Google image search and type in twike, Twike, and you'll see just what the hell I'm talking about.
Awesome. Brilliant.
It's pretty cool. Actually, the new ones, you look at the interior, it looks like the cockpit of an airplane. It's really bad. Well, maybe a helicopter, but still, it looks badass.
Most of the new ones have microprocessors that control the motors and that, because they kick in when you're pedaling, so that the motor is an assist motor. It doesn't have a throttle to directly drive it, so you have to be pedaling for the motor to kick in. And you can usually, if you have a tablet or a mobile phone, you can usually hook it up via Wi-Fi to the control module on the computer, and you can use that as your whole dashboard in them. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, they're really interesting things.
You can buy kits to motorized bicycles all over the place
Oh,
nowadays.
you can. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
Nobody
I
said
just like the
anything in the
trikes
chat
because
for like 15
you're fully
minutes. I think we're
enclosed.
boring.
Because you're fully enclosed, it doesn't matter about the weather. They usually have like a secondary seat behind the person who's driving, so you can take a passenger or a kid as a passenger, usually not another adult. And you've got space in there, of course, if you're going to do shopping. So if you're only going a small way down the road to get to your local shop and stuff, it makes a lot more sense financially to run one of these things than to have a car. You know, if you don't have to go very far.
There's this one very cool kit that you can get. The entire system is the front wheel. You change the front wheel on the bicycle, and the center hub is a motor, a rotary type brushless DC. The wires just run down the frame for controlling it, and you clamp some little levers and stuff on your handlebars, and you're on the road.
Brilliant. Anyway, I think we've more or less come to the end of what the stuff we were talking about and discussing. So, does anyone have anything they want to show?
No.
No? Yeah.
We
don't have anything
we
coming up,
should
Kate?
I have nothing planned that won't come out for months from now because, animation projects. But other than that, we'll see. Maybe a new video before the month's over.
Brilliant.
We started our Wednesday streams again, so
Brilliant.
we're going to be doing our Wednesday streams. That's at 6 p.m. Pacific. I don't know what that translates into. And then on Saturdays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, I do a show called Explain Like I'm 5, where I talk to members of the atheist community. And it's basically any reason not to talk about atheism. Like today I had Thomas Smith on and we talked about Disney movies. And then I had Uncle Mark and Uncle Doug from How to Heretic a couple weeks ago talking about cats. So
it's a good discussion.
Anything but atheism.
Anything but atheism.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like,
I have a lot of things to say about things that aren't atheism.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's like, have you ever had someone assume because you talk about atheist stuff that's all you ever talk about? Your entire life is atheism. Like your offline life, you're constantly like atheism, God doesn't exist. It's like people only see your online persona and they don't realize that that's not all of you or even necessarily actually you. Some people play a role on here, goodness knows. So, I mean, yeah, you want to talk about something other than atheism, it makes sense, You don't want to get pigeonholed, do you?
No.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually how I describe it. It's stuff that they're not necessarily pigeonholed for.
We should have a discussion about the computer game industry.
I'm not really
Absolutely. I've
transgender.
worked
I
in the
just play
computer
one
game
on
industry.
YouTube.
I programmed, so yeah.
I knew it.
Kate and I could come on and have a talk about the computer game industry.
Yeah,
I've done level editing and cutscene scripting, so
I think the next. Well, let me look at my.
calendar. And testing. I've done Xbox testing.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I mean, and developer support, but it's basically just telling people how to do the stuff that I did as a game developer. So
I've got the 14th and the 21st of November. If y'all, if we want to do 1 week for one and the other week for the other, just email divinedisbelief@gmail.
I have a talk to you on Twitter.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
The 14th is my mommy's birthday.
Oh, I love it.
So what have
But yeah,
you got?
that's about all we've got going on right now.
What have you got coming up, Pep?
Nothing special this week, just my usual chats, Wednesdays at noon and Thursdays at midnight, U.S. Central Time.
Anyone who doesn't catch Purple's chats should catch Purple's chats. I have been conspicuous in my absence lately because of other stuff going on. I've been conspicuous in my absence with a lot of stuff lately. That anyone should catch Perp, everyone should catch Susan, everyone should catch Kate. Aunt Jen, Jenny, you guys need to be doing more stuff.
And I will say Purple's talks are indeed fun.
They are.
Yeah, generally no real topic, just, friends hanging out, talking about whatever anyone wants to.
And I'm still shocked people will watch that.
Think of this stream, but with nothing to tie it together.
Well, but I mean, like I love being in a stream because you can participate in real time. But even if you're just using the chat, there's all that lag, and maybe people aren't watching the chat, and I don't know. There's so many times where I'm like, oh, I have something to say, and it'll never get heard. Damn it, shit. So I hate watching streams. I'm surprised anyone else does.
I do try to watch the side chat. What I don't get is why anybody watches it after it's live. But it's
I
generally only have
me.
like 10 people in there. But then a week later, it's got like 50 views.
Yeah.
Well, some people just like the ASMR. Like they love to have it in the background. They're not even paying attention. They just like the voices.
Yeah.
I must admit, there are certain things that I will watch that are very stream-like, or cut-down versions of streams that I will watch or I'll just fall asleep to because I just play them in the background. So people get views, but I don't necessarily remember them because I've fallen asleep.
Well,
So
I
apologize
usually
for
do
that.
run a playlist when I'm going to sleep, just because it helps to have familiar voices to block out the noise of people coming and going in the corridors.
I've ripped a bunch of fairly quiet movies to my Kindle in MP3 rather than MP4 because I'm just going to listen to them. But they're definitely that kit. Did I just hear kit? I heard a woo woo like a kit. Like, am I wrong?
Hey,
right,
that could be my dog in the background who's decided it's now a good time to bark.
That might be it. But regardless, the thing I was saying before, I totally meant what I was saying, and I don't remember what it was. But seriously, I mean it. Oh, yes, okay, that's your dog. It sounded for all the world like Hit from Knight Rider.
That's amazing.
So Jenny and Aunt Jo, do you guys have anything coming up?
No,
No?
not specifically.
Now, I know Jenny, from the discussion we've had in the chat the other day, is trying to put together that chat where we...
Please don't mention.
Oh, okay, we don't want to mention that. Okay. That's fine.
There's a thing that's not supposed to be mentioned. Now I want to know. And
everybody in here, apart from Susan, knows about it because it's in the chat.
Oh, well.
We're developing a project, so
stay tuned. It's a project. It's a project that we're planning on. So
I must be looking in the wrong chat.
Stay tuned. That's news to me chat. Okay, it was in there.
I have one thing.
Yeah.
One single solitary thing to add.
Yes.
My favorite dinosaur is a Stegosaurus.
Aww. I like Velociraptors. I like Utah Raptors more than the Velociraptor. The Utah Raptors kind of cute.
Yeah. I was the one who asked the dinosaur question last week, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was me.
And I said that my favorite was one of the flying ones, and everyone goes, "Not a dinosaur." And
Pteranodons!
Fuck all of you, but
Yeah,
it's the colloquial definition instead of the scientifically accurate one.
That's fine. We'll allow it, Kate. We were just being pig-headed last week. Okay.
Well, I'm not holding it against anybody. Definitely not holding a grudge in any way. Growl.
Yeah. One of the things that's ticking me off is I have to buy a $100 Lego Jurassic Park set just to get an Ankylosaurus because it's the only set it comes in.
Damn.
I can't believe.
Okay, now I have to ask. When anyone was younger, you know how they used to make the dinosaur skeletons that came. When I was young, they were made out of plywood, but I know that more now they're plastic and usually glow in the dark. Did anybody used to make them?
Oh yeah, I've actually got a couple of wooden ones.
Nice.
Oh, you've still got wooden ones. Mine got wrecked.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. And actually, Lego just came out with a set that makes.
Really? There's a Lego set?
It's a museum display that it makes the fossilized skeletons of a Tyrannosaurus, a Triceratops, and a Pteranodon.
Oh, I gotta find that.
It's a new set. Yeah, it's a new set that just came out like in the last month or two.
I want it.
I want it.
I bought one. I haven't put it together yet.
Oh my god.
Brilliant. Now I gotta find that.
I would be very happy. So my favorite is a Stegosaurus. My second favorite is the Agujoceratops.
Yeah, I used to have a plywood Stegosaurus.
Oh, I love because they have Thagomisers. That's my reasoning. But if they had an Agujoceratops, which was discovered at Big Bend, which is where I broke my ankle almost 2 years ago, so that would That would be the best.
Yeah, the Thagomizer is one of the greatest paleontology jokes.
I know. Oh my God, Gary.
That actually came from a Far Sight cartoon, but it is
did.
now accepted as being the official term.
It did.
I love
that. Mhm.
Still, I mean, the existence of, say, the Triceratops implies the existence of a Tricerabottom.
Triple shit.
It also implies the existence of a Duceratops and a Do-Not-Ceratops, because there is no
There's no
Triceratops.
Triceratops.
There is no try. There is no try.
What about a Quadceratops?
If you have ever seen a picture of a Kentrosaurus, it is impossible the species ever survived without them being into serious BDSM.
Okay, you're going to have to spell that for me, because I got no idea what it is.
Kent. Oh, shoot.
I was like, it's spelled
I'm
BDSM.
terrible at spelling it. Yeah, but basically, it's like a Stegosaurus, but instead of the plates, it has spikes. And it has a huge spike coming off of each of the back hips, so I do not see any possible way the male could have mounted the female without impaling himself.
No.
You have
It's
a
like
good point.
Well,
Yeah,
might be part of the
there
whole
is no
rush.
part of this animal that would not poke you somewhere.
Having said that, we are talking about well, they're not reptiles, but the more reptilian side of the dinosaur family tree. It is possible that there wasn't mounting involved. There might have been egg laying and then fertilization.
That's true.
Point.
So there's not necessarily.
Yeah, I guess that's possible, but I don't really see that happening with dinosaurs.
Yeah, we don't because we don't know what they look like with their skin on.
I would like to die thinking that Tyrannosaurus Rexes can orgasm.
Well, we know that they can't jack themselves off.
Yeah, they couldn't do that. That was where I was going next.
Well,
it's those little tiny hands.
I've never seen a diagram that showed where their penis was, so maybe they could.
Actually, this is a weird thought, but I bet you most dinosaurs had cloacas.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, you can get those at Kmart, right?
Cloacas?
So the D in BDSM stands for dinosaur now, right?
There you go.
Oh,
yeah.
Now,
big dinosaur sex machine.
Given that we're talking about Triceratops,
had a flying dinosaur for dinner.
Isn't there a thing with the Triceratops that there were a few different off branches of the Triceratops that they thought were different ones, but they now think they were the Triceratops at different ages? So
it's still debate about if Torosaurus was a separate species or if it was just like a adolescent Triceratops.
Yes. Yeah, and I think one of the other ones from later on, they also think might still be Triceratops, but at different...
Well, there's also that in several of the hadrosaur lines, there's also debates about that, if they're separate species or if they're just related ones of different ages.
Yes, yeah. I'd read a few things about that. I'm not an expert in this, obviously. Not my field. You like dinosaurs, brain bugs in the chat, so we've got people here who might know a bit more.
Yeah. John Horner was the one who really started popularizing that idea that these weren't necessarily separate species.
Yes. Yeah.
That's cool.
Isn't it? Well, we so need a dinosaur expert on a chat.
I agree.
Oh, let's get a Florida man.
A Florida man dinosaur expert.
Yes. I know a guy who runs a podcast called Florida Man. Like, I'm not even kidding. So, I'm just saying. But yeah.
So, anyway, thank you guys for joining me. This has been an amazing amount of fun. We've certainly covered a diverse set of topics today. It's been awesome. So thank you all. Thank you to everyone in the chat for being here. It's been great to see you all. Anyone who watches this later, as we've already decided, you're kind of weird if you do, but hey, I love you anyway. Please like and subscribe if you're not already, and please go and subscribe to all these wonderful people. Their links will end up being in the description. They're not at the moment because I wasn't that organized this morning. But thank you all for being here, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Have fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye all.
Bye.
Sleep well and dream of large women.